God has a message for you today. He wants you to know something very important. God says you were wrong, very wrong. The path you have been walking is not the path He designed for you. The choices you have made are not the choices He wanted you to make. This is not about small mistakes. This is about big life decisions that have taken you far from His plan. God sees everything. He knows every thought in your mind and every choice you have made. Today He has decided to speak to you directly. Your time of spiritual awakening has come. God knows you better than you know yourself. He sees the real reasons behind every decision you have made in your life. He watched when you chose the easy path instead of the right path. He saw when you listened to other people instead of listening to His voice inside your heart. God is speaking to you now because He loves you. He cannot watch you walk in the wrong direction any longer without trying to help you. The time for ignoring His guidance is over. The time for making excuses is finished. God has been patient with you, but now He must speak clearly. You have been living in spiritual darkness about your true purpose. God's light is ready to shine on the truth you need to see. Your Creator is calling you back to the path He made for you before you were born. God says you have been wrong about what really matters in life. You have been chasing things that will never bring you true happiness or peace. You thought success meant money, fame, or making other people impressed with you. But God's plan for success is completely different from what the world taught you. You believed that following your own desires would make you happy. But your own desires have led you away from the joy God wanted to give you. Every day you stay on this wrong path, you move further from the life God created you to live. Time is passing and chances are being lost. The people God wanted you to help are still waiting. The purpose He gave you is still unfulfilled. The gifts He placed inside you are still unused. God's mercy is great, but His patience is not unlimited. Today He offers you a chance to turn around and walk toward Him instead of away from Him, like this video, right now, to receive God's correction and guidance for your life. God says you have been wrong about your life purpose from the very beginning. He placed special gifts inside you that you have ignored or wasted on the wrong things. He gave you talents to serve others, but you used them only to serve yourself. He gave you a heart to love people, but you became focused on getting love instead of giving it. God watched as you chose jobs and relationships based on what looked good to other people instead of what He knew was right for you. He saw you make decisions based on fear instead of faith. You were meant to be a light in dark places, but you hid your light to fit in with others. You were meant to speak truth to people who needed to hear it, but you stayed quiet to avoid conflict. God has been sending you signs for years, trying to guide you back to His path. He sent people to speak truth to you, but you did not listen. He opened doors for you, but you did not walk through them. He allowed difficulties in your life to show you that the wrong path leads to struggle and emptiness. But instead of turning to Him, you worked harder on the wrong path. God's plan for you was always better than your plan for yourself. His dreams for your life were bigger than the small dreams you settled for. The years you spent going the wrong way were not completely wasted if you learn from them now. God can still use your mistakes to help others avoid the same wrong turns. But first, you must admit that you were wrong. And He was right. Type "forgive me" in the comments to acknowledge your mistakes. Before God, God says you made wrong choices because you stopped trusting Him and started trusting the world instead. The world told you lies about what would make you happy and successful. Your family, friends, and society convinced you that God's way was old-fashioned or too difficult. They made you believe that following your own path was more important than following His path. You developed spiritual blindness that made it impossible to see the truth clearly. Pride filled your heart and blocked out God's voice. Fear convinced you that taking risks for God was dangerous. God gave you gifts of wisdom, compassion, creativity, and leadership, but you buried them under worldly concerns. You worried more about paying bills than about serving your true calling. You had opportunities to help people who were hurting, but you were too busy with your own problems. You could have been a source of hope for others, but you kept your hope to yourself. God placed dreams in your heart when you were young, but you let adults talk you out of them. You traded your God-given vision for practical careers that left your soul empty. The talents God gave you were meant to be shared freely, but you held them back, waiting for perfect conditions that never came. You waited for permission from people instead of listening to God's permission. God feels disappointment when he sees how far you have wandered from his original design for your life. But his love for you has never changed, not even for one moment. He has been waiting patiently for you to realize that your way is not working. He has been preparing to welcome you back to his way with open arms. If you want to show God your serious commitment to changing direction, you can give super thanks of $5, $10, $20 or more. Each offering demonstrates your desire to invest in God's plan instead of the world's plan. Your generosity opens your heart to receive more of his truth and guidance. Type "I was wrong" to humble yourself before God and admit your need for his correction. God says it is time for you to learn the correct path he designed for your life from the beginning. The road you should have been walking all along is still available to you. You should have been using your gifts to lift up people who were discouraged and hopeless. You should have been speaking words of life to those who only heard words of death from others. God wanted you to be brave enough to stand for truth even when it was unpopular. He wanted you to choose love over fear in every situation that tested your character. You have wasted years trying to impress people who do not really matter, while ignoring the people God placed in your life who needed your help and attention. The job you should have chosen was the one that used your gifts to serve others, not just the one that paid the most money. The relationships you should have built were with people who encouraged your faith, not people who pulled you away from God. God knows that changing direction feels scary after walking the wrong way for so long. But he promises that his path leads to peace, purpose, and joy that the world cannot give or take away. It is not too late to make the right choices now. God's grace covers the years you spent going the wrong direction. His mercy gives you a fresh start from this moment forward. You can still become the person he created you to be. You can still fulfill the purpose he placed in your heart before you were born. You can still make a difference in the world the way he intended. But you must be willing to admit you were wrong and surrender your will to his will completely. Type, "Guide me, God," to ask for his divine direction in every area of your life. God reveals that your true calling was always to be his messenger of hope in a world full of despair and darkness. He placed inside you a special ability to see the best in people when they could only see the worst in themselves. You were meant to remind others of their worth when they felt worthless and forgotten. God wanted you to use your voice to encourage those who had given up on their dreams. He gave you words of wisdom to share with people who were making the same mistakes you almost made. You could have been living a life where every day had meaning and purpose. Instead, you have been living for weekends and vacations, always wishing you were somewhere else doing something different. There are people who needed your help, but never received it because you were focused on the wrong priorities. Children who needed a mentor, adults who needed a friend, elderly people who needed someone to care. Your wrong choices created a ripple effect that touched many lives in negative ways. When you chose selfishness over service, other people suffered from your absence in their lives. But God protected you even while you were walking the wrong path. He kept you safe from dangers you never knew existed. He provided for your needs, even when you were not grateful or acknowledging his provision. Now God wants to restore everything the wrong path took from you. He wants to give back the joy, peace, and sense of purpose you lost along the way. He has been preparing a place for you in his plan all along, waiting for the day you would come back to him with a humble heart. Show God your commitment to walking his correct path by giving super thanks of $5, $10, $20 or more. Each offering represents your investment in his plan for your future instead of the world's plan. Your generosity demonstrates that you value spiritual treasures more than earthly treasures from this moment forward. Type I surrender. To give complete control of your life to God's perfect will. God says you must take immediate steps to align your life with His will starting right now today. First, you must ask for forgiveness from people you have hurt while walking on the wrong path. Pride and selfishness caused you to damage relationships that God wanted you to treasure and protect. You must stop habits that pull you away from God and start new habits that draw you closer to Him. The entertainment you watch, the books you read, the conversations you have must all change. God wants you to establish a daily prayer time where you listen for His voice instead of just asking for things you want. He has been trying to speak to you, but your life has been too noisy to hear Him clearly. You need to study His Word to learn the difference between His voice and the voice of the world. The more you know His truth, the easier it becomes to recognize lies that try to lead you astray again. God will send you signs to confirm when you are making right choices from now on. You will feel peace in your heart when you follow His guidance. You will feel conflict in your spirit when you start to drift toward the wrong path again. The people He wants in your life will be drawn to you as you walk in His light. The people who do not belong in your life will naturally move away as you change directions. You must start this transformation immediately. Every day you delay is another day of missing the life God created you to live. Time is precious and should not be wasted any longer. Type Yes God right now to commit your life completely to following His correct path from this moment forward. God says He feels great joy seeing your willingness to admit your mistakes and change direction toward His perfect plan for your life. He promises to guide you step by step on this new journey. You will never walk alone again, because He will be with you in every decision and every challenge you face. God is assigning special angels to help you stay on the right path. They will give you strength when you feel weak, and wisdom when you feel confused about what to do next. Amazing blessings are waiting for you as you make right choices from now on. God will restore the time you lost and multiply the opportunities you missed while walking the wrong way. The peace that comes from knowing you are in God's will is greater than any happiness the world promised, but never delivered. Type Amen to seal your commitment to God's truth and receive His continued blessings forever.